Good morning. Well, I'm told today the Deputy Commissioner of Police, Sir Ken Jones, has returned to England. Now, I'm not 100% sure that's right. I think it probably is. If he has, I don't blame him. Hope it's temporary, but I don't blame him for walking out of Victoria. I wouldn't blame him if he never came back. Just think about this. And this doesn't come from some dodgy Nazi-like government. It's not from a communist state. This is happening in Victoria. This is happening in your state today. A secretive organisation with extreme and secret powers, an organisation that can question any of us and not allow us to even tell anybody we question. This organisation, it is believed, has been taping the private telephones and reading the private emails of senior police, of government advisors and of media. They have targeted Sir Ken Jones, the Deputy Commissioner of Police. They have targeted staff in the Police Minister's office. And I've been told they've targeted a number of journalists, including me. So much so that I often send a message when I'm on the phone at home. Good morning, spooks. Now, look, all this would be fair enough. You need these sort of powers. They're very severe. They shouldn't be abused. You need these sort of powers if people, like us, are suspected of running drugs or killing somebody. It'd be fair enough if we were suspected even of tipping off crooks that the police were onto them. But that's not the suspicion. The phone tapping, the reading of the private emails, the whole operation, I believe, looks to be based on politics. Because there's one thread here, and I would think that is Simon Overland, the Chief Commissioner. Sir Ken Jones has obviously been critical of him and some of his decisions. I've certainly been critical. I've also been leaked material that led to an Ombudsman's inquiry into Simon Overland's and others. And I think it's a fair bet that if they are eavesdropping on ministerial staff, it's for the same reason. The Office of Police Integrity, it's not Simon Overland doing it, he's raised it with the Office of Police Integrity, and the Office of Police Integrity is now conducting this investigation into Sir Ken Jones, and all of us, in a sense, tapping telephones, reading emails, not because we've taken out contracts to kill people or imported a couple of tons of ecstasy. It looks like simple political reasons. That is outrageous. That goes to the heart of freedom, the heart of democracy in Victoria. I repeat, it is like the excesses of the worst dictatorships. But the government isn't behind it. This is a secretive organisation with extraordinary powers, monitoring an extremely senior, internationally respected policeman, monitoring the government itself and the media for what looks to be simple politics. Now, for heaven's sake, Sir Ken even had his house swept for bugs, that's reported. His wife's telephone was apparently intercepted and tapped. What law allows this to happen? I'm getting some advice on that. But where have we come to in Victoria? The Age has reported detail of this today, and in a sense we're shooting in the dark, because the OPI won't talk about it, the government won't talk about it, the Ombudsman won't talk about it, the police won't talk about it. I was told very similar things several days ago from a trusted source, but I was pledged to secrecy. So it didn't surprise me at all. And it didn't surprise me when I was told. I suspect my phone's been monitored for weeks. I've mentioned that on air. I assumed Sir Ken Jones would have been monitored as well once Simon Overland took the case to the OPI. And to be fair, nobody knows why, really. But I can't see any reason other than this defence of Simon Overland. He raised the issue with the OPI, now this happens. But another twist, and this is ugly too, the Ombudsman is not happy. The Ombudsman is now investigating the Office of Police Integrity to see whether this is an abuse of their powers. Well, damn right, certainly looks like it could be. So we've got here two secretive organisations, the OPI and the Ombudsman, effectively at war. The Ombudsman investigating whether the OPI is playing politics, whether it's exceeding its powers for political reasons. Seriously, this is one of the grubbiest, most disturbing affairs I've seen in 42 years in journalism in Victoria. Ken Jones is a target. Why? Really, why? Yeah, okay, he raised concerns about decent policing in this state. Thank God he did. He has spoken straight and directly to the public. He has locked up crooks and he's loved it. He's been a policeman, not a spin doctor. So is he a crook? I mean, that's the inference, isn't it, really? If they're going to investigate him, I doubt it very much. And in fairness, he's not being accused of that. But he's being treated like a crook. He has been straight talking and has enormous respect from normally cynical coppers. Yet the OPI has apparently been tapping his phone and his wife's phone. Now, bloody hell. You don't even do that to crooks and drug dealers without huge reason. You don't lightly get into this type of territory even with known hardened crooks. These powers are extreme and they are needed, but they can't be abused, and there's every reason here to question whether they are being abused. If the OPI is doing as alleged, it is potentially an attack on freedom of speech, policing, government, and most of all, it is, and worst of all probably, potentially an attack on the truth. You just wonder, don't you, as 29, the real crooks and the corrupt cops must just be laughing at this, because it frees them to go about their business while this stupid scrutiny goes on. But I suspect this is what it's about, this weak-kneed piece of inference from Simon Overland about Sir Ken Jones when he's talking to me. He thinks Sir Ken leaked something about an email regarding a report he was doing on parolees committing crimes. That was before he was marched out the door. Now, Simon Overland wouldn't come out and say it when I spoke to him, but this is the grubby inference. Had he presented to you his report on the problem with parolees, which arguably allowed to happen the murder of 7 people?
Well, that's interesting, Neil. I hadn't got a report. I'd got a private email from Sir Ken sent to me on Thursday afternoon. I had sent a private email back to him, not disagreeing with what he was saying, but actually asking for some more work to be done.
And why is that interesting? You say that's interesting. Is there some meaning to that?
Well, it's interesting that it's now in the public domain.
Why?
Well, it's a private email between a Deputy Commissioner and myself.
What are you saying's happened?
Well, I'm just saying it's interesting that it's a private email between a Deputy Commissioner and myself.
Well, are you inferring Sir Ken Jones leaked it?
No, I'm just saying it's interesting.
Is that what it's all about? He thinks he's leaked something? That email, by the way, wasn't in the public domain. There was discussion about the report, but that was obvious. It was known he was doing the report. Is that what it's about? I don't know. But Simon Overland has taken the issue to the OPI, so perhaps it is. As I said, he won't talk, the government won't talk, the OPI won't talk, the Ombudsman won't talk, but we have here an extraordinary power battle going on, and the government is silent. That can't continue. This goes to the fabric of integrity and decency in Victoria. The Baillieu government's treading very carefully, and I guess it has to, because these bodies must be independent. But the time is coming very, very soon where they've got to address this. It's got to be cleaned up, and the only people who can clean it up are Ted Baillieu and Peter Ryan.